Many new and experienced B&B owners quietly wonder why running a bed and breakfast feels like juggling 10 jobs at once. Today you'll discover why workload feels so heavy and how understanding the real nature of the business can bring immediate relief. So if this feels familiar, you're not alone. The alarm rings earlier than most people think. You shuffle into the kitchen while the sky looks half asleep. The coffee starts brewing. Eggs crack into the bowl. Bacon hits the pan with that cheerful little sizzle that always sounds optimistic. For a moment, it feels like the dream you imagined. A bed and breakfast. Guests waking slowly. Morning light through the windows. Fresh muffins cooling on the counter. Then the day truly begins. A guest asks about gluten-free options. Another needs directions to the lighthouse trail. Someone wants to know if the town has a good antique shop. You answer. You smile. You recommend. Breakfast ends. The dishes remain. The laundry appears. The rooms must be turned. And somewhere between scrubbing a bathroom mirror and replaying an online booking message, you suddenly realize something. You've been moving all day, yet somehow it feels like you haven't stopped for even 5 minutes. Later that evening, when the house finally grows quiet, you sit down with a cup of tea and think about something many B&B owners think sometimes once a week, sometimes once a day. Why does this feel harder than I expected? Now, if that thought has crossed your mind, this episode is for you. Because running a bed and breakfast often feels heavier than the brochures suggest. Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because the real structure of the business is rarely explained properly before people start. Welcome to another episode of Beds, Breakfast, and Business Podcast. If you haven't done so yet, sign up, and if applicable, ring that bell so you don't miss any future episodes. Because this podcast exists for one simple reason: to make running independent bed and breakfasts feel clearer and less lonely. You see, most B&B owners are deeply passionate about hospitality. They love welcoming guests. They enjoy creating memorable stay. They care about the details. But the job itself includes far more moving parts than most people realize. In fact, later in this episode, I'll share one simple shift that often brings immediate relief to overwhelmed B&B owners. A shift that changes how you see the work entirely. But before we get there, we need to talk about something important. The real reason the business often feels heavier than expected. And here's a question I'd love you to answer in the comments. Which part of your B&B surprised you the most once you opened your doors? Was it the cleaning? Was it the constant multitasking? Or the fact that guests somehow always ask for something just when you sit down? Let me know. Because chances are someone else listening right now feels exactly the same way. So let's talk about why this business can feel so overwhelming. Let's get started with something honest. Most people open beds and breakfasts because they love hospitality. They enjoy meeting travelers. They enjoy cooking. They enjoy the idea of creating a warm, welcoming place where people feel at home. That part is real. But the day-to-day job includes far more roles than many people expected. In fact, running a B&B often means running several jobs at once. You're the host, the chef, the housekeeper, the receptionist, the maintenance team, the marketing department, sometimes all before lunch. The course, Build Your B&B from Dream to Doors Open, explains this clearly. Many B&B owners handle bookings, breakfast preparation, cleaning, maintenance, and marketing themselves because independent properties often operate with very small teams. And that is where the pressure begins, because the outside image of the job focuses on the guest experience, the breakfast table, the cozy rooms, the friendly conversations. But the invisible work behind the scenes can easily double or triple the amount of effort required. Let's walk through a fairly normal day for many innkeepers. Morning begins early. 6 o'clock is common. Coffee brews. Breakfast preparation begins. Fresh ingredients appear. The kitchen fills with the smell of toast and coffee. By 8, guests arrive. You chat. You recommend local attractions. You answer questions. You feel this part feels wonderful. And then the breakfast ends and the second shift begins. Rooms must be cleaned, beds changed, bathrooms sanitized, laundry started. By mid-morning, emails arrive, reservation requests, special dietary questions, booking changes, cancellation policies. Owners prepare breakfast early, manage rooms and cleaning during the day, and respond to bookings and marketing tasks between guest interactions. And yet the day still isn't finished. Around 3 or 4 in the afternoon, new guests begin arriving. Check-in starts, more conversations, more recommendations, more problem solving. And finally the house quiets down later in the evening. Except now, the invisible work begins. Accounting, marketing, updating availability calendars, ordering supplies. The day easily stretches to 14 hours. Not every day, but enough days that the workload feels intense. And that's why many new owners quietly ask themselves that question again. Did I underestimate this business? Well, the short answer is yes. Not because the business is usually difficult, it's because the job description rarely gets explained properly before people start. Running a bed and breakfast is not one role. It's a collection of roles. And understanding that changes everything. Because once you realize the workload is structural rather than personal, the pressure begins to soften. So here are some signs that the pressure isn't personal. It's a comforting truth that many B&B owners discover after a few years. The feeling of overwhelm usually has little to do with personal ability. Instead, it comes from the nature of the business itself. There are several structural reasons why running a bed and breakfast feels intense. So let's talk about them. 1, the lifestyle business effect. A bed and breakfast is not just a workplace. It's often your home. Nearly 80% of B&B owners live on the property, which means work and life blend together. The front door becomes the guest entrance. Your kitchen becomes commercial space. Your living room might become the lounge. And suddenly, the business never feels far away. Guests arrive, questions appear, late check-ins happen. Even relaxing on the porch can sometimes feel like being on duty. This constant proximity can feel draining even if you don't expect it. But it's also what creates the charm that many travelers love. Guests feel like they're staying at a home rather than a hotel. That warmth is part of the magic. 2, emotional energy. Hospitality requires emotional attention. You greet guests warmly. You listen. You solve problems. You make people feel welcome. And you do it even when you're tired. This type of work is sometimes called emotional labor. It's the energy required to create positive experiences for others. In hospitality, that emotional presence matters. Guests remember how they felt during their stay, and B&B owners play a large role in shaping that feeling. But emotional energy adds up over time, especially during busy seasons. 3, the multitasking marathon. B&B owners rarely focus on one task at a time. Instead, the day looks like a consistent shift change between roles. Cook breakfast, answer booking inquiry, fix the Wi-Fi, recommend a winery, check a leaky tap, respond to a review. Switching tasks quickly can become mentally exhausting, Even if each task feels small, your brain consistently changes context, and that mental gear shifting consumes energy. 4. The hidden business work. Guests rarely see the operation side of a B&B. The spreadsheets, the supply orders, the pricing adjustments, the marketing strategies, but those pieces determine whether the business succeeds. Many owners complete this work late into the evening, after guests settle in, which means the visible workday ends around 8, but the invisible workday continues quietly behind the scenes. If you've ever answered booking emails at 10 at night, you understand exactly what this feels like. 5. Guest expectations. Another reason the job feels so intense is guest expectations. Travelers often arrive with a clear picture of what a B&B experience should feel like. Private bathrooms, fresh breakfast, local advice, comfortable rooms. Studies show that many travelers expect amenities similar to hotels, including private bathrooms and reliable Wi-Fi. Meeting those expectations consistently requires effort. But when guests leave happy, something wonderful happens. They tell others. And word of mouth becomes one of your strongest marketing tools for a small property. So the job isn't harder, it's bigger. Once you see the full picture, the story changes. Running a bed and breakfast isn't harder than expected, it's simply broader. The business includes more layers than the dream usually shows. And once you accept that reality, something surprising happens. The work begins to feel more meaningful because you start seeing how all the pieces connect. Think about the breakfast table. It's not just food, it's atmosphere, conversation, a memory guests talk about long after they returned home. Our B&B course describes B&Bs as places where travelers enjoy personal connection and authentic local experiences. And those moments matter. A guest who feels welcome is far more likely to return or recommend your property to a friend. That means the friendly conversation you had over coffee might eventually turn into a repeat booking months later. The work behind the scenes supports those moments. Laundry ensures the rooms feel fresh. Maintenance ensures comfort. Marketing ensures future guests find you. It's all part of the same ecosystem. When you see the business this way, the workload stops feeling random. Instead, it feels purposeful. And that shift often brings a surprising amount of relief. So here's one practical shift that changes everything. Stop measuring your day like an office job. Many B&B owners unknowingly judge their productivity using traditional workplace standards. Emails sent, tasks completed, projects finished. But hospitality doesn't work like that. Success often appears in moments. A guest conversation, a thoughtful breakfast, a recommendation that leads to an unforgettable day trip. Those small moments create lasting impressions. And those impressions create loyalty. So instead of asking, "What did I accomplish today?" ask a different question. What guest experience improved today? And that might look like helping a guest plan the perfect anniversary dinner, making a special breakfast for someone with dietary restrictions, recommending a hidden local beach. Those experiences create stories, and stories create word-of-mouth marketing, which is one of the most powerful growth tools a B&B can have. If you're still deciding whether this lifestyle suits you, the guide, your B&B Starter Blueprint, walks you through the real day-to-day life of running a B&B and the 7 steps owners take before opening their doors. You can download it in the show notes. So what part of running a B&B takes more time than you expected? Leave your quick answer in the comments. Here are your key takeaways. B&B owners wear many hats. Overwhelm is normal early on. Hospitality blends life and work. Guest moments build reputation. Perspective reduces stress. Running a bed and breakfast can feel heavier than expected, not because the dream was wrong, but because the full picture includes more moving parts than most people see at first. The breakfast table is only the beginning. Behind it sits a small business, and small businesses require many skills. Hospitality, organization, resilience. Once you understand that structure, the pressure often softens because the challenge stops feeling personal. You realize many innkeepers experience the same learning curve. If you would like a clear roadmap for starting or improving your property, the guide, your B&B Starter Blueprint, is available in the show notes. But if you're ready for deeper support, the program Build Your B&B from Dream to Doors Open course walks through the full process of launching and growing a bed and breakfast. For further reading, take a look at Overcoming Major Bed and Breakfast Owner Pain Points, episode 34, which explores the lifestyle realities of running an independent hospitality property. You can find all our posts on bedsbreakfastandbusiness.com. Before you go, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. And if this episode helped you, consider buying us a coffee. It keeps the ideas brewing. In the next episode, we're going to talk about how do B&B owners clean faster without cutting corners. Until then, remember this. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need the right next step. See you next time.